Hi everybody, it's me, Teresa Perrin. This is part 2 of a 2-part video on AVCT and why I believe it's going to rock it this week. If you haven't seen part 1, I suggest that you start there. However, you could always go back and watch it after you watch this. This is going to focus more on the technical analysis. I will be doing a chart review at the end of this video. Let's get started. Please remember, nothing I say is financial advice. Always do your own DD. Okay, guys, so we still only have one analyst that has rated this, and they have given it a buy rating. According to the technical analysis, we are showing a strong bullish signal, both in the short and medium term. We have nothing yet for long term because obviously we are just starting to make a recovery here. And as you can see, there are 7 bullish signals that have been given as of late, 1 neutral and no negative. So this is a very good change of pace for us. Currently, according to Webull, and this is very important because I am getting very conflicting information with Webull than what I'm getting with Fintel. And just wait till I show you what Fintel is showing. All right, according to Webull, the institutional ownership is 20.20%. Insiders own 0.86%. And others, which would be retail traders, own 76.62% of this stock. According to Fintel, and get this, guys, this has gone up significantly. There are 48 total institutional owners. 43 of them are reported long, 0 are reported short only, and 5 are reported long short. So please keep in mind that this information is only as good as what's reported to us and the time frame, because a lot of times we're getting this information and it's old because they don't have to, file the same day that they make their changes, as well as the fact that institutions don't have to disclose their short position unless, it's a requirement, like they work for, let's say, the teachers union pension fund or something like that. They are required to report short positions because it is something mandatory in their bylaws or whatever the case may be. But it is a requirement, and therefore we don't always know if this, is correct because shorts do not have to disclose in general. So this is a tool. However, it is saying now that institutional shares long account for 123.27% of AVCT. So now, if we take, because unfortunately Fintel's not showing us retail ownership, however, if we take what Webull's showing us, that's approximately 200% of the float with retail and institutions. Now, add in another 12.82% for insider ownership of the 32,470,000 shares, guys, and we have a bunch of naked shorting going on here from the looks of it. And I, quite frankly, would not be surprised if that were the case. Now, part of me thinks it could be the case because the fact that those 10 million warrants are going to come into play could have created, an opportunity for them to drive the price down artificially. Allegedly, supposedly, nobody wants to get sued. Or perhaps there's some other agreements, where those 10 million warrants could be potentially purchased by a hedge fund that is trying to short this and knows that they have access to those 10 million warrants that are coming into play. But guys, that would only account for 25% of this stock, roughly, right? Because if we have 32,000 shares and we increase it by another 10%, okay, well, maybe it's an additional 33%, but that would only be 25% when you take 42, right? And divide it by the ownership. So let's say a third, it's adding essentially, a quarter more percent if you divide it by the 4, but a third if you take the 32 right now. That's still not going to cover 100% of, craziness going on here if it's naked shorted that much. Who really knows, guys? Pure speculation on that account, but the numbers don't add up is what I'm trying to get at. Let me know your thoughts on that below, please. I'd love to hear them. But let's look at the short interest. Currently, Fintel's showing an 8.32% short interest with 0.73 days to cover. So, if it's just by that, what's reported as short, then it doesn't look like there's an opportunity to squeeze, or much of one anyways. However, given the fact of what I just stated, I would say there's a huge opportunity, but time will tell this week, won't it? Now, wouldn't you know, on December 2nd, there was actually a period where there were 0 shares left to short, guys. But magically, the numbers just kept increasing on Friday. There's now 45,000 shares available. It's funny how that works, isn't it? This right here is the cost to borrow. Currently, we are sitting at 27.22%. And as you can see, this has gone up to as high as 39.42% in the past 2 weeks. Guys, if this price starts to move to the upside, I would expect this number to continue to rise. And failure to delivers, unfortunately, do not come into play for us. So I'm not even going to mention them at this time other than to just show you this chart. Guys, I really think that this week we have a very unique opportunity with those warrants. Please go watch that video to understand why I am so bullish going into this week. And I'm going to show you the technicals that align with my bullishness. So let's get into that. Real quick, guys, before I get into the daily chart and the technical analysis on that, because that's indicative of a much stronger move, I just want to show you where we stand on the 10-day chart, and we're looking at 15 minutes. I want you to see that we've ultimately been in barcode jail for the past 10 days minimum. This is not normal price movement. I just want you to be aware of that. This is barcoding jail. And it's just these moves like this that are just not normal, with the exception of perhaps in this middle section here where we got that move up from 85 cents, to $1.28 or whatever it was here. That was the only normal action that I see in this chart. And then it was immediately pulled back down and put into barcode jail again, especially for the last 2 days. This is looking at a 15-minute chart here. And even look at this RSI. Look at this movement. It literally looks like not normal. Yeah, it's just odd. Then also the MACD, just so you know, looking at the 15-minute chart, it's very bullish right now. Our red is about to cross above the green, above the blue wave as well. We're crossing right above that blue wave right now, so we're going to curl to the upside. That's excellent. And as you can see, our RSI is at 55.21. Perfect bullish. It's above 50, guys. This is a very, very good sign for us going into Monday. I like what I see here. Now, I do want to pull up the 2-day chart and the 5-minute real quick, because I think you will, 2 days. I don't want to see the 1 minute. This is the 1 minute real quick before I change it. Look at this. It's just ugly. It really is just ugly barcode hell that we are in. All right, now go to the 5-minute and it cleans it up a bit. As you can see, this is very, very barcodey. It's just, this is not normal, but look at here. It was better on the 15 minutes, but we are actually completing a wedge, which will give us our breakout. On the 5-minute, our red has already crossed above the green. And as you can see, we are now crossing above that blue wave on the MACD. That is a very bullish indicator. And our RSI is up to 59.28. Excellent sign there. Guys, we closed the day at $1.12. I think you're going to see a big move to the upside come Monday on this stock. So let's look at the daily. All right, guys, so a little technical analysis. We are looking at the daily 1-year chart, but I have actually minimized it to the past 3 months just because these lines are very close together and I want you to be able to see what I'm talking about. And essentially, the daily chart is basically what we need to see as far as price movement goes. We are in a very good spot, in my opinion, technically. If you come down to the bottom of the screen, you notice the MACD. Ever since November 1st, you can see that the red crossed above the green, which is bullish, and indicated that we are starting to progress in an uptrend. Now, if you look at the price action, I mean, all for all, yeah, we've gotten out of like the below $1 stage and we're up to 112, but it has been fairly relatively flat, so to speak, just slightly moving up higher. And guys, that's to be expected because, you know, the issues at hand with these warrants and stuff, honestly, we couldn't expect much of a movement until they were going to become effective, which if you saw part 1, you know that that happened on Monday. And technically, I feel like this is all lining up for that date. And I feel like this has, I hate to say it, but been artificially suppressed, you know, just slightly moving to kind of get this in their favor. Because if you look, you know, like I said, the red has crossed above the green on the MACD, and now we're getting close to starting to curl up above this blue wave, which is what we ultimately want to get above and stay above if possible. Also, if you look at the RSI, which is right above the MACD, that's the single blue line that you see, we are very close to getting above that 50%, which will be very bullish, guys. We want to stay between that 50 and 70 if possible. If by chance we happen to start trying to squeeze or getting huge momentum in, then we may get above 70, but then expect it can't stay up above 70 for an extended period of time until you see a pullback. That is just how the flow works in the stock market. So ultimately, between that 50 and 70 is where we want to stay. We can pass above it, but just be prepared. We will get a pullback to pull us back to reality. Anyways, now, volume has been fairly low, as you can see. The whole month of November, it's been really, really low relatively. You know, it is what it is, guys. Hopefully this week it starts picking up and we can see this start to spike up. Now, if you go to the very top of the page where you see the AVCT and you see the candlesticks, you can see that we created a doji, or pretty darn close to a doji on Friday. Excellent, because guys, that is our indicator for our move up, okay? And look at here, this green line is my 13 SMA. And guys, if you know me, you know that I trade on the 1348 when I'm trading a stock. Now, please be advised that I am not trading AVCT. I have been in it long, and it is what it is. I've gone for the rides, you know, whatever. What can you do? I bought it knowing that. I bought it as a buyout play. And to be quite honest, it's not a huge portion of my portfolio that I even have to worry about it. Now, this green is our 13. The blue is the 20 SMA. As you can see, we have crossed, the 13 has crossed above the 20. That is bullish. We want to see now this green and this blue, the 13 and the 20, cross above the purple. Okay. Now, if I were trading this stock, or if I wanted to enter a position as a trade, I would do so when this green 13 crosses above this purple 48, because that is very, very bullish. And a lot of traders do trade on this 1348 because it is been known to be one of the most successful trading mechanisms out there. And the way you do that, guys, if you want to trade the stock, when the green 13 crosses above that purple 48, that is your buy indicator. And you would only be using the daily chart for a more powerful move to the upside. A lot of people that trade on the 1348 are day traders, and they're doing so on the 5-minute candlestick or 3-minute or whatever they trade on, okay? Most day traders I know, unless they're like literally scalpers, don't trade on the 1 minute. They trade on either the 3 or the 5. However, the green and the blue, now we want to see curl and pass above this purple 48. And if we can get that, then we're getting one step closer. And ultimately, we want all 3 of these to curl and pass up above this 200 SMA. Now, that's quite a ways away, as you can see. So will we get there? That is the question. We still have this gap fill here, you can see on, if you go to the front where you see the lines coming down the middle, cutting the screen into thirds. If you go right below, right to the first third, the very end of it, you can see this candle here, which is showing us that we have this gap to fill between those two candles. And it's from approximately, let's see if I can get it on there. A high. Oh, 315. That's what I thought. But sorry, I was looking at the numbers with the red and the green, and I'm going, that's not right, because I knew it was 315. 315 is where this gap starts, and it goes up to the low of this candle, which is $3.94. Guys, that is ultimately what I would like to see, and that would coincide, if we can get this, with those warrants that I told you about in the first video that are coming into play and can be exercised starting tomorrow. If we can, and I'm not saying we're going to get to this level tomorrow, because that, I mean, although it could happen, it's kind of highly unlikely, but it's possible. Anything's possible in the stock market. We all know that. Anyways, ultimately, I would think that this would be the first target area, and that would make their investment worth double, right? Because 180 times 2 is 360. So getting this gap fill may be what they're eyeing as far as where their goal is to start taking profits on those if they are going to choose to exercise them. And they could easily be selling into the pressure if that were the case, because I'm sure if we start moving up like that and, you know, going from where we're at today at that, you know, $1.12 or wherever we closed at, right? I can pretty much assure you, if we're starting to move up to 3 times its price, there's going to be a lot of buying pressure coming in, and it'd be the perfect time for them to try to start dumping those warrants. So be prepared, because, you know, depending on how much buying pressure we get, will they easily get absorbed, or will we actually see the results of that dump in the share price? That is the question. Now, guys, it's possible that this could just start moving and go on a nice little run for itself. I do not know. I just have to look at all scenarios, and I advise you to do the same. But this gap fill would be a target that I have in mind, and I think would be a very reasonable price target for these hedge funds that are trying to sell these warrants that they have to try to capitalize on profit. Again, I'm not them. Who knows where they're going to do it at, if they're going to do it. Hopefully, you know, they don't get a deal with them to get less shares for more money, and hopefully they try to run it up. That is ultimately what would benefit us as shareholders the most. So I'm hopeful on that, and this is what I would like to see get filled. Anyways, guys, that's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please smash that like button and have a great day.